Welcome back. We've talked about a number of things over the last period of time. What we want to look at is there only one model of a community development training program, or are there some different models? Sometimes as people go through this training, they may get the idea that, there's only one model and you got to fit in this little box, and if you don't fit in this box, it's never going to work. And in reality, community development training has many models. Now, what I want you to do is, back home, in your small groups, watch this short video. It's about 2 minutes, and it explains some different models of community development training programs. As you watch the video, I want you to just give me your reaction to what you saw. So after you've seen the video, you'll talk about it in your small groups, then you'll turn the machine back on.
We have several different models for starting a CHE program in different situations. The first one we have just described is a community-based program. The second one is a family-based, where a Christian family trained as CHEs moves to an unreached village and begins to minister. The family-based ministry is used in restricted or creative access countries where there are few Christians. Initially, there is no community responsibility or leadership, since the CHEs are ministering to the community, but they are not under the community leadership. In the foothills of the Himalaya Mountains, we are using the family-based model in 90 villages in eastern Nepal and northern India, where over 80 fellowships or churches have been started in 4 years. As people come to Christ, experience God's love, and see the benefits of an integrated ministry, a church-based CHE program is begun. In addition, the program may start at church where the community is fragmented and there is little feeling of oneness. The church-based model is useful for urban slum. Here, committee members and CHEs may be members of one church. Although they are reaching out to the whole community, the church must be large enough with sufficient resources to continue the program after training. A government-based model was used in the former Soviet Union, where there had been a very authoritarian medical structure. Through the government system, we offer to help improve the health care in one district with the lowest level of medical care. By participatory teaching techniques, they learned how to mobilize their community to take more responsibility for their own health. The spiritual teaching deals with moral-based topics, which are accepted by the government. This model is being used in the former Soviet Union's Central Asian location.
When you looked at that video, you saw really 4 different models of community development training. The first model is the one that we have been talking about most of the time. That is a community-based model, where the committee and the CDTs come from the community, and the community totally owns the program. A second model that you saw was the church-based model, or church-initiated model, and in that one, the CDTs generally can come from the church, some of them, but they also come from the community. And the program is somewhat more seen as coming from the church instead of being totally owned by the community. The third model you saw was a special model that we use a lot in more restricted access countries, and that's the family-based model. Here, you have one CDT from each village. They come together for a central training instead of you going to the village and doing the training in the people's village. And this we use a lot in the creative access countries. And instead of doing spiritual training, we do moral value training, because it wouldn't be too good in a Muslim country to talk about evangelism and some of those things. So, the family-based. The last model that you saw on the video was a government model. This is in a country where there's a very, very tight government, very authoritarian government that controls everything. So you work through the government at the lowest level. You don't go in up here at the country level. You work at the lowest level possible to get them to give you permission. And then in reality, once you have permission, you begin to do a community-based model. So those are the models that we've seen on the video. Now, there's one more model that we need to talk about, and this may be very important for you. It's how do you modify the program for an urban or city slum area? Because some of your unreached people groups may be mixed in the city. Do you remember we talked about community? And that word community, remember it had two parts to it? One part was common, C-O-M-M. The second part was unity. So a good community is a community where people hold many things in common, and that gives them that sense of unity and belonging. Well, in an urban setting, that's not there, is it? Because where do people come from to the urban? They come from all over the country to the urban. If you ask them where they're from, they always say, back there where they came from, even though they may have been there 30 years. So, and your unreached people group may be scattered. Hopefully they're living somewhat close proximity, but the key thing is in a urban CDT program that you must look for commonality. And since you are going to be targeting specific unreached people group, well, that's your commonality. But you may have a group over here in this part of the city and another group over here and another group over here. And they may have some different interests. So what you need to do with them is to find out what this group's interest is over here. It may be on parenting. Over here it may be, well, we've got a lot of expectant moms that are single. Over here it may be, you know, we really need to learn the language of this city better. And so you start working in their interest groups, in the little individual groups. And then as they begin to gain confidence, like the role play with Debbie, if you remember the river crossing story, she gained confidence that maybe we can do some things. So they get confidence in their little groups, and then eventually you pull them together. And for those of you that really are going to work in an urban setting, we can go into more detail at another time. So the key thing to remember in a CDT program is that it's very flexible. It can take the shape of what the particular needs are. It can be a church-based model, a community-based model, a family, a government, an urban. And so it takes different faces based upon the particular situation we're in. Actually, a couple of our teams tried a brand new program called the school-based model, where they trained kids in a school to be the CDTs. So CDT is a very flexible program that'll take the shape of your particular setting. The key thing is not what model you're using, but understanding key principles, and we're going to be talking about those key principles later on.